Hello, I'm Krista West of Avlea Folk Embroidery, and this is a very special FlossTube brought to you from the Mrs Karelias Folk Costume Collection in Kalamata, Greece. This is a remarkable collection of folk costumes, of Greek folk costumes, from a variety of eras, from all over Greece, from both the islands, the mainland, the Peloponnese, all over. And I'm going to give you a video tour of this today. If you are new to my FlossTube channel, just remember you can follow me on Instagram and you can see all of our designs at the website. All of that information will be in the notes below. So to begin with, so that's enough of me. We're going to turn the camera around and get going. When you first enter the museum, oh, here, let me keep it this way. You come into a beautiful two-story room that has gorgeous costumes on these pedestals that go up. They are stunning. I'm going to get a little closer to this one, and you can see just the incredible, elaborate embroidery work here. What I love about the display here is that everything is designed so that you can get the fullest experience of the costume. So you'll notice these pedestals turn around. They rotate very slowly. So you can stand and you can appreciate the design as it is rotating around to see both the back and the front. This is one of the only museums I've been at that actually pays attention to both the back and the front of the folk costume. I'll show you a little bit more in a minute of what I mean about that. So this is the initial display, very striking. Everything here is actually done with black walls and black backgrounds, and it really shows the embroidery to great advantage. There's another display that goes up. Okay. If you are planning a trip to Greece, you definitely need to put this on your list. And know that museums in Greece, all throughout Greece, are much more affordable than museums in America. It is essentially $6 to visit this museum. Now I'm going to go in close. This is a tsuguni. It's a traditional vest, and it actually, you'll notice this embroidery is done with a cord technique. This is couched cord. Those of you familiar with surface embroidery, this is a surface embroidery technique, couched cord. It's used in a lot of these designs. Really beautiful. This is an andari, the blue coat garment here in front of us is a andari. It's like a type of robe. These were sometimes made from Venetian and French brocades, and they were oftentimes worn in urban areas. This is a shift. This would be the basic undergarment, sometimes visible, sometimes other garments layered underneath, with the hem oftentimes embellished. Any area that was visible was embellished. This dates back to pre-Christian times and to the Greek chiton. This is another style of dress. Many of you are familiar with this kind of dress. This is also loosely inspired by the Greek chiton, which was a many pleated dress worn from the shoulders with pins in the pre-Christian era. These dresses have remarkable embroidery on them. This one I found very interesting because it is all satin stitch. So let me get in close. I was expecting it to be cretonne or something different, but it's all satin stitch. Okay, we're going to move into the next room here. And I'm going to go briefly through these folk costumes. One of the things I love about this collection, I was speaking with the curator yesterday, and she made a point that Mrs Karelias, who is the founder of this collection, it's her private collection, makes a point that it is a collection and not a museum. So I will use those words interchangeably, but know that they prefer the language collection. One of the things I love here is that every display case has a tablet, and on the tablet, you can tap the tablet, and you can go here, and you can look at the case. Well, let's see if I can find this one. Oh, let's try back. I'm going to show you this because it's really neat. If you tap on this, it will show you the garment and give you more detail. Then another thing I love is when you tap on that, you can tap on these images and slide to see the side view and the back view. It's really remarkable. The collection here is arranged by type of garment, so not chronologically. That's important to note. So these are garments from all over Greece. These are what we really think of as the traditional folk costumes. These are from the one with the black hair is from Pericora. The one here right now, right there, is from Corinthos. And then we have male costumes. And then again, a really remarkable display. Let me see if I can see if you can see this as I go up. This is a almost 3-story display of pedestals with costumes on them that go all the way to the ceiling. And you can see how they descend slowly so that you can see different costumes at different times. Really remarkable, really beautiful. Let's get in a little close on this metal threadwork. This is metal threadwork, also mostly couched with some metal braid. Moving along, we're going to see the next display case. There are just some remarkable pieces of embroidery. Let me give you I'm going to pan around and give you the full view of this case. As you can see, this is just a stunning collection of costumes. I've been to quite a few costume museums and collections throughout Greece over my number of trips to Greece, and I would say this is the best. It's totally, I'm going to get in close to some of these hems so you can see the hems. Look at those. And the curator was telling me yesterday that many of these hems actually have all different sorts of symbology, symbols and motifs in these hems. Look at those colors. I mean, just look at the vibrancy of this. Really, really remarkable. And we see the regional differences. Some have the sagoni, the vest. You can see the adaptations. We see the velvet coats with the gold embroidery. Again, that's done with cording work on the sleeves. Various different kinds of aprons. The apron is a common feature. I particularly loved this. Let me get close to this. Isn't that amazing? Wow. Love the colors. And then here's one done with velvet and more. We're going to go around. I apologize if it seems a little fast, but we, believe it or not, still have 2 floors to go, people. Like I say, totally worth making a trip to Kalamata, Greece. Okay, let me get in a little close. I thought this waistcoat or vest was remarkable. Look at that. Isn't that incredible with that gold work? Really stunning. And then almost like a type of, it isn't really net embroidery, but it's on a very, very fine silk. Really remarkable. Notice too the headdresses. There's a lot of variety in the headdresses. Let me see if I can go kind of around there slowly. Some very elaborate, some more simple, most featuring some kind of embroidery or textile or print ornamentation, like this one. Okay, let's start making our way upstairs. Don't get too dizzy there with me. Okay, we're going to make our way upstairs now and go to the 2nd floor. The whole museum is just incredibly thoughtfully designed and beautifully. Everything is just so beautifully displayed. In this section, we have a wonderful case of the kosmima, the jewelry, the ornamentations that were worn with the costumes. Really, really wonderful. Okay, this is part 2 of the Mrs Karelias Folk Costume Museum Tour. We're now on the 2nd floor. And we're starting out looking at the kosmima. This is the traditional jewelry that was worn with folk costume. Let's get a little closer to see some of that. Look at that. Again, we see the very bright use of colors, stones, glass. These are various pieces, various styles. And now we're going to move into the 2nd floor of folk costume. And again, we have the very handy tablets at every display case. I mentioned these in part 1. These are wonderful. They give descriptions and front, side, and back views of every single folk costume in the collection. I was going to point out for all of you knitters out there, check out the wonderful knit socks. A lot of knit socks in Greek folk costume. I thought you guys would appreciate that little child's apron. Very beautiful. I also particularly liked the pattern on this sleeve. I recognized it from a number of old designs. I thought it was just beautiful. Many of these costumes here are made with wool. And here, let me get a little close to see some of the detailing there. That's a beautiful apron. And then let me get down and show you the beautiful hem on this one. I loved this hem. I really liked the geometric regularity of it with the little waves. If you can see the sort of wave meander pattern and the ribbons, I thought that was really nice. Okay, now we're on the second floor, so you can see this is the rising and lowering pedestals coming up through the mezzanine. Sorry if you can kind of see that. I don't want to make you dizzy, but that at least gives you an idea. We'll move to the second case now. Again, I'm going to give you kind of the round overview right now, and then I will get close-ups of some of these costumes. But again, just look at this amazing display of folk costume. Truly, truly stunning. Look at this. Wow. Okay, let's go in close so that you can see these. Okay, so we have costumes here. Many of them feature gold embroidery. We can see this here, and here we can get up close on these aprons and see those beautiful designs. And notice, again, hand knit socks. Lots of socks. And here we have another apron like this. And then some aprons are flat, you can see, and some have ruffles. It really just depends. Again, so much stylistic variation. Note the differences in headdress. Here we go. Let's get close on this one. I thought this one was remarkable. I loved the contrast of the heavily surface embroidered gold with the just straight, probably cotton that's just done in a stripe. I thought that was so striking. Very high contrast, very beautiful. Okay, let's go here. I'm gonna go back out a little bit so you can see these costumes. This one I particularly like too. This royal blue, this deep, deep blue with the metal thread embroidery on it. I mean, look at how delicate that work is. It's just so delicate. Sometimes in Greek folk costume, fabric from other countries was used. French, Venetian, Italian brocades were used as a symbol of status and luxury. Here's more of that same kind of gold work on the hem. I'm gonna have to move around here. Okay, let's go in a little closer. Some of the costumes are actually bordered in fur because some of northern Greece is actually can be quite cold, and mountainous regions. Notice too the sleeves. We oftentimes have ornamentation on the sleeves, like that little bit of ornamentation there. Most of the sleeves. The male costume is really resplendent as well. I loved that design. Let me see if I can go in tighter on this because I thought this was so beautiful. Look at that. I thought that was incredible. I also particularly liked this pattern here. I thought it was very interesting. It's done in like a backstitch, probably with an untwisted silk floss, but it ends up looking almost like crochet work. Really, again, very remarkable. Some areas featured black costumes, and then some featured, of course, reds, blues, these sorts of colors. This is a woven apron right here, but notice the beautiful hand-embroidered headscarf there. Let me see if I can get in closer on that for you. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, wow. And then this one also has remarkable tablets on the hem. I was really interested to see these. They actually remind me of the Avlea, which were used as Byzantine courtier costumes. And here's more. Again, some of the costumes have a very heavy use of wool. And also look at this bodice. It's just incredible. Look at that work. Isn't that stunning? I love the color palettes. They're just so lively and so vibrant. Really, really amazing. And then this is interesting. I thought that was a really interesting style of embroidery there, used on that bodice. Okay, so this is the second floor room. There's also a lot of displays of the jewelry and the ornaments that were worn with them. We're gonna focus just on folk costumes, so we're not gonna see that. We're going up to the third floor next. And here, first off in this display case, I'm gonna get a little bit higher than it. We have this beautiful, stunning coat. I mean, just look at that. Let me get in close on this because I know you guys are gonna wanna all see this very close up. Look at that. Just remarkable. Now I'm guessing that many of you are wondering, was this all done by village women? The answer is no. There were professional embroiderers that would create these sorts of garments. Embroidery was a job and a profession for some people. Okay, so now we're coming up. This is the third and final floor of the Mrs Karelias Folk Costume Collection. Okay, and once again, I'm going to give you the overview, and then we'll go in close. So we have a huge case here. Then we have the pedestals coming up from the first floor here at the end. Cases of jewelry here and here. And then another display case here that wraps all the way around like this. You can see that. Okay. Now, let's go in close. Let's start over here and I'll point out some really fun things that I noticed. I actually got to spend 3 hours in the museum yesterday making notes, taking photos. You'll notice here we have a use of like a brocade that was probably produced somewhere in maybe Italy or France for the apron. And now we start seeing some of the aprons getting a little bit more fancy, I guess we would say. This one's also made out of a brocade. But note on this one, I thought this was great. This bodice, beautiful embroidery work there on the bodice. Again, with cord work. That's, oh, I'm sorry, not cord work, that's chain stitch. It's a really nice chain stitch in what looks like probably an untwisted silk. And what I thought was interesting is this is the original nursing wear. These slits are to make nursing a baby easier. The next costume here has also more nursing wear, but a beautiful motif on the headscarf. Really, really lovely. This one, absolutely gorgeous weaving work, very bold. This one also with a woven apron. And note the sleeves, really beautiful cross-stitch sleeves. It almost to me looks like wool. Whoopsie, let's get that a little better. Looks like wool floss to me. This does not look like silk. It looks like wool. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's wool. Also, the elaborate headdresses. This one, another woven wool apron. This one has the velvet coat, the short coat, and the elaborate apron with pin tucks, and a lot of filet crochet, or a lot of crochet work on this one. This one actually is quite different in character than some of the others, but notice the elaborate headdress and notice the beautiful embroidery work on the scarf and on the bodice. Really beautiful. It looks to me like it's probably stem stitch fill. This stitch, I believe, I was just studying with my embroidery tutor, and she was pointing out to me that stem stitch fill is used a lot in traditional folk costumes. Here's more costumes. Again, look at that sleeve. Now that one is actually needle lace. That's not, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, it's cross stitch, but it's not. It's actually needle lace. made to look like cross stitch, which is pretty remarkable because that would actually be a very simple design in cross stitch, and it's very complex in needle lace. Here we have more embroidery. We'll go in close to this. Look at that. Look at the coloration on that. This is untwisted silk floss. Notice we have the alizarin pinks, the ecrues, the light blues, and then of course the brown to kind of ground everything. Here we have some more elaborate costumes. These would be more urban costumes made out of imported brocades. Still some embroidery, but here the focus starts to shift to be more using more of the imported high-value status symbol fabrics. Here's a beautiful embroidered coat. Okay, let's move to the next case. We're moving by the 3-story pedestal garments coming up. And now we're starting in this case. Here we encounter the pleated skirt, the very wide, the very full, massively pleated skirt that is a popular style. Let's look at that embroidery. There we go. This garment here has a really gorgeous embroidered sleeve. Let me see if I can go in close on that. Very beautiful, if you can see that. I apologize if the video is moving a little fast. There are other people in the museum, and the museum has very kindly allowed me to take this video. So I unfortunately cannot spend an hour or two here, as much as I would love to. Here's another one of those skirts, embroidered to mimic like French and Venetian brocades. Very beautiful. And more of the very, very full pleated skirt or dress costumes. This one with a beautiful brocade. Look at that brocade, isn't that incredible? Here we have a very remarkable costume, this one in particular, that is just lavishly embroidered. It's velvet. You can see that some of the nap has worn away here. You can see the ground cloth, but this would have been velvet, incredibly heavily embroidered all around the hem of the apron and all over the jacket. The short coat, same here. Okay, moving along, we have 2 more cases. So in this case, I thought it was interesting to start seeing how some of the garments are changing. There are still, in these styles, there's still the echoes of the folk embroidered borders and things like that. You can see that very beautiful design. But here is more of a focus on imported fabrics, lavish materials, a very luxe look, if you will. This coat in particular, I found stunning. Look at that design. And it might be hard to tell from the video, but this is a rich, deep, deep forest green, almost black. Over the soft blue and taupe brocade, which is imported, it's just a stunningly striking effect. I would have never thought to put that color palette together, and now I can't wait to design something with it. It's lovely. I feel like this has been very inspiring to find new color palettes. In the back, also, again, we see the soft pink and with a black jacket. Very striking, very elegant. And here we have another costume with the full skirt. Okay, we have 2 more cases to go. And here we have a bright citron yellow skirt with a velvet short jacket and an elaborate headdress. Now here is the style where Greek folk costume, this is the style known as Queen Amalia style, and it's where it was a combination of European costume making its way into Greece with European influences, and the women at court intentionally, Queen Amalia intentionally combined it with folk costume elements for a very unique look. It's very striking. Here we have the short coat with the embroidery, the wide sleeves. But notice that the satin of the gowns extends beyond the short coat to really show off the embroidery to best advantage. It's sort of like Bridgerton goes Mediterranean. They're beautiful, stunning pieces. And then the final case here, also featuring a lot of gold corded embroidery here. Here we go. And here we're now adapting over to a modern wedding dress to sort of show the various styles. So I want to thank you today. I'm going to actually look at a case because that's a lot more interesting than looking at me. I want to thank you for joining me again today. For those of you who are interested, we'll have a blog post on this, and all the information about visiting this museum will be in the show notes. This is the Mrs Karelias Folk Costume Collection in Kalamata, Greece. I highly recommend visiting if you are in Greece. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krista West. This is Krista West of Avlea Folk Embroidery, and today I am very excited to be able to interview one of the staff members here at the Mrs Karelias Museum. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Marina Komboki. Thank you, Krista, for being here and making this interview. I am the curator of the collection, and I'm the head of a very nice team, with expertise, a lot of expertise, and I'm very proud of it. And we all invite you to come and visit us. I am ready for any question you want.
How many costumes do you have on display?
Approximately 100. They are both whole costumes, but also part of costumes, and lots of jewelry too.
Okay. And do you have other costumes in storage?
Mrs Karelias, who is the collector of all these costumes and the both founding member and president of the Lyceum Club of Hellenic Women, which is a very important organization that preserves and promotes tradition in our country. She has a huge private collection. She bestowed part of her collection to this beautiful edifice you have just walked into. So she has a lot more, yes, but here I think I would say that we host the best of them, and the restored costumes, because quite many of them were not in a good condition when they arrived.
Okay. How many people a year visit the museum approximately?
Thousands. I can't tell you now. I need my statistics.
Yes. I learned.
Foreign and Greek, both kids and adults.
Yes.
All ages. We are friendly to also people with disabilities. We have educational programs. We are a very active collection, a very active place, and we are very proud of it. Its existence is 8 years. We inaugurated the collection in 2016, and we are now one of the most popular destinations in Greece for foreigners and locals.
I was speaking with the education person yesterday, and she told me that over 3,000 Greek school children come here every year.
That's true.
They have
starting very shortly. I mean, it's in the middle of. In the middle of October, all the programs will start.
I know all of us who love embroidery and craft will be excited to learn. They actually start children as young as 4 here with their educational program, all the way through age 18.
Yes, exactly. And we have different programs depending on the age.
Do you have a personal favorite here in the costume collection?
Oh, that's a very, very difficult question. First of all, since I was a child, I've been a member of this association called Lykio των Ελληνίδων. I've been dancing, wearing copies of all these costumes. I love them all. I have been here since the setup of the museum, so I've been within the team, dressing up all the mannequins and touching all these fabrics, and it was an amazing experience. And but I can't. It's very difficult to single out one. I am very fond of the nomadic people of Greece.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're very interesting, and the conditions under which they were made.
Yes.
I prefer the rural mostly.
I would have to agree with you.
Rural communities.
Yeah.
the way they thought, the way they combined colors without any influences from magazines or designers. They were people of nature, so they used a lot of their inspiration from the surroundings. So I would choose those, but I love them all.
Yes, that's such an excellent way of putting it. Yes. The nomadic costumes are truly remarkable when you think about the conditions.
Altogether.
Yes, and the rural
peasants and the people from the rural areas of Greece. Yes, islands also had beautiful costumes, and some of them have a very they go very back in history.
Yes.
But what I love is, and what we all admire, is this combination of influences from East and West.
Yes.
And we are very proud to be to come from a country that is in the Mediterranean with such a history, and you can see very clearly on all costumes this give and take from different civilizations.
Well, you've just done an amazing job here. I want to thank you again so much for joining us.
We thank you for visiting us, and we hope we'll see you and lots of your fellow Americans here at the museum, and especially get inspired. For people who like embroideries, this is one of the best places to come to.